Along with the president. How significant is this trip to Brazil for President Biden, and what's on the agenda there?
Well, Phil, it's incredibly significant, and it's a symbol of sorts. As you mentioned, the president, as the White House puts it, is the first sitting president to visit the Amazon region, and this is an opportunity for him to really put his stamp on his climate initiatives. The White House touting that he has reached his climate goals, providing $11 billion a year towards international climate efforts, which they say is the largest contribution of any bilateral or any of these bilateral countries in their efforts, specifically with the Amazon. But when we're talking about the president's visit today, it's specifically to highlight the importance of the rainforest. The president understands that, look, right now we're in a period of transition. His successor, Donald Trump, has a significant difference on climate policy than him. But again, this is an opportunity for him to cement his legacy with regards to climate change.
So this visit to Brazil comes after meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, as we mentioned. The two leaders made a notable agreement on AI safety and nuclear weapons. The Chinese leader, though, didn't shy away from discussing the changing political landscape and spoke about the upcoming transition here in this country. How are these talks being received? Because it has to be a tricky time in between, while we're transitioning presidents here in America.
That's right, Phil. And so it was a productive discussion, according to the White House. And look, I mean, they've underscored the importance of this entire South American trip. The number one goal has been to ensure a smooth transition amongst our partner groups, whether it be at APEC or our allies here at the G20. And so you saw that reflected in the readout, both of the Chinese and American versions of that meeting between President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping. They had those agreements on AI safety, certainly on military-to-military communication, and then also their counter-narcotics efforts. You mentioned, President Xi did acknowledge the changing landscape in American politics. He did not mention President Trump by name. I wouldn't read too much into that.
El presidente de China, Xi Jinping, ha llegado a la ciudad brasileña de Río de Janeiro para asistir a la cumbre del G20. Esta es su primera visita al país latinoamericano en 5 años. La cumbre programada para los días 18 y 19 de noviembre tendrá como tema central construir un mundo justo y un planeta sostenible. El evento reunirá a líderes de las principales economías del mundo para tratar temas graves como el cambio climático, el desarrollo sostenible y la reducción de la pobreza. China asegura que la asistencia de Xi Jinping a la cumbre del G20 demuestra su firme apoyo al multilateralismo y la alta importancia que otorga a la cooperación en el G20. Además, ha expresado su disposición a trabajar con las demás partes para lograr resultados positivos y enviar un mensaje claro en favor del multilateralismo, una economía mundial abierta y el desarrollo sostenible.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Brazil for the second leg of his 3-nation tour. He is in Brazil to attend the 19th G20 Leaders Summit, which will be held on November 18th and 19th, 2024. Upon his arrival, PM Modi was warmly welcomed with traditional Brazilian hospitality. As part of the reception, Brazilian Vedic scholars chanted Vedic mantras to honor the PM. This marks an important moment in his diplomatic visit as India and Brazil continue to strengthen their ties. During his visit, PM Modi will participate in discussions on global economic issues, climate change and other key matters at the G20 summit. The summit brings together leaders from world's largest economies to collaborate on solutions for pressing international challenges. This is the second stop on PM Modi's tour, which also includes visits to other nations.
G20 is a grouping of the world's 20 biggest economies, which include the European Union and, for the first time, the African Union. Unprecedented security arrangements have been made in Rio to ensure the summit remains incident-free over the 18th and 19th of November. DD India's Gautam Roy reports from Rio.
Brazilian military forces already taking positions at the venue of the 19th G20 meeting taking place in Rio de Janeiro on the 18th and 19th of this month. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be participating here as well, along with the leaders of the world's 20 largest economies who will be deliberating on key issues such as eliminating hunger and poverty, sustainable development and reform of global institutions. There will be a lot of focus on how to further increase the growth of these economies as well, and global growth too, because that is connected with a lot of problems and challenges that really confront the world apart from the conflicts in both Ukraine and Gaza. Brazil has pulled out all stops to ensure that the sites serving as venues for different G20 related events in Rio de Janeiro are secure. Be it land, sea or air, Brazilian Army, Navy and Air Force, in collaboration with the state government, municipal authorities, various agencies and public security organizations have all been brought to muster. The nation's president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has invoked Guarantee of Law and Order or GLO special powers, under which the army alone has deployed over 7,500 troops all over the city. They are not only guarding dignitaries and venues, but also working to thwart terrorists, cyber attacks and drones. The Navy is providing maritime security by controlling access to cities' ports, safeguarding coastal areas, protecting critical infrastructure and supporting ground operations. Christ the Redeemer watches over Rio all the time. But for the G20 summit, where delegates of over 60 nations and heads of state and government of over 40 countries are gathering, nothing is being left to chance. Be it the air, the sea or the land, the Army, Navy and the Air Force are going to be watching all proceedings very, very closely to ensure that everything takes place very smoothly.